Hello again. I'm always intrigued and generally pleased when I hear that somebody who has battled against great odds has achieved success. Sometimes, though, the story seems so utterly outlandish that I feel compelled to dig a little deeper just to make sure that I'm not being sold some urban myth under the guise of a heartwarming tale of triumph over adversity. So it was this morning when I heard that a young man in his 30s had been appointed a professor at Cambridge University. The fact that it was Cambridge alerted me to the fact that there might be more to this than met the eye, because Cambridge is right on the front line of the struggle for diversity and inclusion in higher education. Or, to put the case more plainly, they are desperate to get more black students and black staff there. The new professor is himself black. He may be seen in the thumbnail to this video. Here then is the story of Jason Arday, who was born in London 37 years ago. He suffered from a global developmental delay combined with autism, which meant that he did not speak until he was 11 and he was illiterate until the age of 18, the age at which most teenagers are going off to university rather than learning to read and write. On the face of it, this is not a promising start for somebody who will go on to become a professor at Cambridge. I confess myself deeply suspicious about some of the backstory here, and I'll tell you why. I give a link in the description to this video to a piece from the BBC about this. Arday claims that watching Nelson Mandela's release from prison was a formative moment for him. He was just 4 years old at the time. How many viewers of this video remember being politically or socially conscious at the age of 4? Can anybody watching this remember any item of international news which they remember from when they were 4, let alone one that had a formative effect upon their whole life? So reading that does make me rather suspect that all is not as it seems. Anyway, he passed GCSEs in PE and textiles and went to a college to do a BTEC. And then suddenly a miracle occurred. He gained 2 master's degrees and then a PhD, and in next to no time he was a professor at Glasgow University. It sounds easy when you say it quickly like that, but I can smell a rat here in no small measure. He does not seem to have written about anything other than being black and the experience of black people, but that's pretty much par for the course for black people anyway, really. I've read some of his stuff and it reads like a sixth former with limited literacy skills trying to use what he thinks is grand language. Allow me to read you a sample of his prose. This is an abstract of an academic article. I give a link to it in the description to this video, and I suggest that viewers click on it and read it. The abstracts are written by the authors of the articles. Ready? This is a sample of his prose. The challenging of normative whiteness is paramount in dismantling the cycle of inequality that permeates society. The persistent and operant nature of whiteness within the academy is enduring and depicts faculty of colour as deficient or incapable. The articulation of racialized experiences has become an instrument of empowerment for faculty of colour in an attempt to reclaim power and disrupt the operant tools of whiteness. This paper employs a critical race theory CRT as storytelling method, which operates as a counter-narrative in attempting to conceptualize my own professional experiences of negotiating normative whiteness, diversifying Eurocentric curricula, and conceptualizing the racial microaggression. See what I mean? Storytelling is perhaps an unfortunate term to use here, with the associations which most of us have with the expression. Telling stories in ordinary discourse is, of course, a euphemism for lying. Perhaps I'm not as sharp intellectually as once I was. for I must confess to having no idea at all what is meant by things such as conceptualising the racial microaggression. I noticed too that in this abstract of what is meant to be an academic paper written by the author, there are a number of spelling and grammatical errors, which is very, very unusual. I give a link to this in the description to this video. If you read it, you'll spot that micro, as in microaggression, is misspelled. So is the word subordinated. Commas are left out. For example, this paper employs a critical race theory CRT as storytelling method, where a comma is needed after CRT to make sense. Elsewhere, words are missing, reducing the text to nonsense. For instance, the narratives proffered demonstrate the subtle but powerful ways in racism unfolds within the academy. Powerful ways in racism unfold in the academy. I imagine that he meant to say the ways in which racism unfolds within the academy, not in the academy. There are other errors, and I'm bound to say that I have never seen anything like this in an abstract of an academic paper in the whole of my life. It is curious. My guess is that Cambridge have acquired him, as did Glasgow, simply for the novelty value of having a black professor. I do not think for a moment that a white youth with only GCSEs in PE and textiles would progress to be a professor at Cambridge. There's a story behind all this, and I shall do a little bit of delving and digging and then make a follow-up to this video.